me get you some viewers quick there.
What is up, everyone? You're like, hey, who's that guy? Where's he been? Yeah, I've been on a little bit of a hiatus trying to tweak things out. Not like a full rebrand, but I have been trying to dial things in, bring back a little bit of excellence to the stream. It's been I know a lot of you noticed that my notifications still probably don't even work, but my notifications have been wonky lately, so I thought I'd take a chill pill, grind out some other things while I waited for everything to kind of catch back up. But I'm here with Adam tonight because we are going to do one of my favorite things, which is give a little bit of the pre-release breakdown. Me and Adam both got to attend a Magic the Gathering pre-release event, the same event this weekend, and it was a whole lot of fun. But we'll talk a little bit about that as we go. If you have questions about Magic the Gathering or this particular set being Avatar: The Last Airbender set, then please feel free to chime in, ask your questions, ask away, fire away. Ask your questions. We'd love to hear. We'd love to chat from you. Hear anything you might want to ask, we're down for. So, to kick things off, like I said, we both went to the same pre-release weekend. Spoiler alert, I'm good, Norma. Appreciate you. Hit that follow. Gonna try to just talk with Adam mostly because we're gonna release this as a pod form as well. So if I don't get to your questions, I'm sorry. So spoilers, as he does, I'm joined by Mr. Adam Lee, 3-0, almost a guarantee 3-0 every time we pull up to these things. But Adam, how's it going?
It's going pretty good. I had a blast. We hadn't gone to a pre-release in a minute. I'm sure most of you guys know, but both of us have kids now, so this has been a little bit of a transition year. Just like not being able to go to as many pre-releases as we used to be able to. But hey, when Aang shows up, you gotta make an appearance.
No, that's true. That's 100% true. Chat, you feel free to help me out with the audio levels of the two different audio, input sources as well. But yeah, I mean, I was really excited for this set. I thought it did a lot of things that checked a lot of boxes for me. And I think when we review sets, I think we have to ask a couple specific questions, one of which is, how do you define a good set? Like, I define a good set, is it fun? It's a simple yes or no question. Is it fun? Is it like, do Magic the Gathering things? And with these universes beyond, I kind of also throw in the question, like, is it flavorful? Does it have, like, a lot of flavor? And I really enjoyed this set. I thought it was super fun to play. I matched up against 3 different archetypes in my matchups, and I will take something with me to my grave forever, is that in Game 2, I had lethal. I lost Game 1, but I crawled back from being very far behind. I actually mulliganed to 5, I believe, in Game 1, and just had to keep. I just had no action. I was playing sort of a creature-thin deck, but Uh, I it didn't really matter because I had ways to get ahead even if I was behind, but to like catch up pretty quickly on board. I had a lot of burn removal, a lot of good ways to do it. So I lost game one. I think if I had more time, I would have been okay. Um, but game two came around, and I realized I had lethal not once, but actually almost twice at the end. Um,
Ooh, I don't think you told me about the twice thing. I think you
the
just told me
the
about the
the
one.
second time I had lethal would is well, here's why I say I had lethal twice, because the second time I had it, I didn't have it yet. I was about to have it on my turn. However, I did not block, thinking I had one more turn to win the game, and I would have, but I looked at their open mana. They only had colorless. I didn't realize one of the colorless lands was a filter land that she could pump. And she did filter for a single white combat trick and end up dealing lethal to me. So that was my pre-release. Other than that, both the other games I went 2-0 because like I said, those are the scenarios where I'm kind of behind, and even playing from behind, I can catch up. The other four games I had, I was not behind. I was either on pace or way ahead, and I just kept slamming. I had a great green deck. But Adam, what about you? Your over experience? Talk to me about this perfect score a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, so the first thing I want to mention is the Mully thing that you talked about. Um, my first my first match, I ended up also 2-0ing, but I felt really bad for my first win.
Oh,
My
that's
opponent
right.
mulled to four. Actually, she said she would have mulled to four, but she based on her principles would not allow herself to mull to four. So she kept a one land hand with five cards in hand.
Ooh,
And she just you could tell like it was the first game, it was the first shuffle after making decks and stuff like that, and she just had a clump of land somewhere in her deck that she broke up later on. But we tend to forget this sometimes when we play a lot of MTGA. But for those that don't know, there is a hand smoother in
mm-hmm.
MTGA that they want to make it fun and they want to make it enjoyable and not have these hands where like you go and draw three hands and you still get one land across all those.
Yeah,
Like that happens a lot in Paper Magic, and it's just man, it feels bad when you're on that side of it.
100%.
Honestly, for me, it also felt bad when I was on my side of it too. But anyways, back to mine. So I'm sure we'll talk about what our pools were a little bit here in a second, but I didn't really have that spicy of a pool. Um, but what do you do when you don't have a spicy pool? You kind of just go for value and maybe more of like a beatdown side of it. So I ended up going like a Rakdos deck and um, end up just getting some good removal, some good stuff. I think a lot of things fell my way. Like I think that the first girl I played that mulled down to five the first game, I think she had a better deck than me. Like we did like I obviously had won 2-0, so we didn't really need to play a third, but it was the first time we kind of wanted to just play some more games.
Yeah.
She smacked me that third game. So technically I went 6-0 on the night, but I definitely lost that one. And she had a white blue allies deck that was popping.
Yeah.
She had like a commander that allowed her, or like I don't remember what his name is, but it was a guy that allowed her to summon, or not summon, play um, allies off the top of her deck,
Yeah.
if like, and she could always see it. And then she also had Zatara that had like the big Zatara where I'm trying to think like it buffed all ally. Oh no, she could waterbend X, which I'm sure we'll talk about mechanics in a second, but you can waterbend X, and then X becomes the base power and toughness of all your creatures. And
Yeah.
it was just like it's on a hand. So overall, like I loved it. I think this was a good. I think it's a really good set.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously we only got to play to one of the archetypes with our stuff, but we played against some. I think the allies seems pretty tough.
Yeah.
I think I didn't play against any of the Earthbend, but I saw people play a lot of the Earthbend, and that seems pretty tough.
I played with
Um,
Earthbend, and it is pretty tough, but not like in. It's not overpowered. It's just really nice to Earthbend, especially into a 2/2 that like will still give you value if you trade off. Like like the for the those of you who don't know the earthbending mechanic, this is the Avatar the Last Airbender set. The earthbending mechanic is great. Essentially it's When you earthbend, you're taking a land that you already have. You're uh making it as a 0/0 creature and putting 2+1/+1 counters on it. When that creature dies or is exiled, you bring it back to the battlefield tapped. So just like being able to trade that off kind of against their attacking in 2/2, or like I can now change my 2/2 and then add that land and trade it into a 4/4, and I'll still get a land out of that whole thing. Just was great. It just felt smooth. I really liked all the different bending in this set. I ended up playing a predominantly green red deck. Shout out Jared, the Gruul Master. But I also had to force fit. I did pull Ozai, um, not the
The
Firelord
big Ozai.
Ozai, but the big Ozai, and I had to
Yeah.
just find a way to make that work and fit 2 swamps in there, and I did, get to play him. I actually got to custom off the top for free, and I'll get to that in a little bit. I'll talk a little bit about my MVPs of my run here. But I would agree, Adam. Earthbending is great. I did a lot of earthbending and I did a lot of firebending. I wasn't able to do the other two archetypes. Did you did you play against someone who actually waterbended?
A little bit. So I also want to say one thing, like on the earthbending thing, like this is the power creep that has happened with Magic. Like you think back to, you know, some of the planeswalkers used to have, or some of the creatures, or some of the creatures or effects there were, you could put +1/+1 counters on lands, but when they died, they died.
Yep, that's
And
true.
there were a couple that had like the, oh, and it comes back tapped or whatever. But like Earthbend, to your point, what you were saying, like it feels so good because you never lose resources.
Yeah.
You don't have to care. Like you could also Earthbend by just continuing to add more +1/+1 counters on your lands.
Yep.
And like if that ends up taking one of their um, removal spells, technically you're up a card at that point in time
Yeah.
because you didn't necessarily lose a card. You just they had to burn a thing for it. But yeah, I did play against Waterbend. It happened to be that allies that first girl that I played, it was a allies deck. So it was like an allies and Waterbend deck. She didn't have a lot of airbending, which is like the white mechanic, but she had a decent amount of Waterbend. And you asked a question earlier about like what makes a good set a good set.
Yeah.
And I think what I would agree with you. Fun is number one. Two, I think a good set feels immersive in the ways that it works. So
Ooh,
when that comes
yeah.
down to mechanics, or just like the themes of the cards, like I loved Brothers War and
Yeah.
Phyrexia because you had like Brothers War was sweet because you had so many different artifact things you could do with it, and it was
Yeah.
just like anything and everything. I love the Phyrexian stuff because you had all the toxic and you had all this kind of stuff and all these different Phyrexian ways. I think this one feels so good, especially being nerds that we are and liking Avatar.
Mhm.
Like white was airbending and it felt like airbending. Like
Yeah.
for those that don't know what airbending is, you can either exile one of your creatures or one of your opponent's creatures, and it basically exiles it. Now you can play it for 2 mana. So
Yep.
basically, you just throw it into the air, more or less, and it comes back down later.
Mhm.
And like that felt immersive and that felt good. The water bending, it allows you to like tap your creatures and your artifacts for basically paying off. So it's almost like what's the other mechanic?
It's
Um,
kind of like a blend of like
re-
affinity, but not affinity. I know what you mean. Shoot, invoke.
wow, I'm blanking on it. Yes, invoke. So it's basically invoke for this ability. So when you
Yeah.
water bend, let's say 5, you can either pay 5, you can pay 5 mana for it, or you can pay any level of mana or tapping creatures or tapping artifacts. And it's kind of cool because water bending in Avatar was them using their resources around them,
Yeah.
typically in a
I thought of
defensive
that
way or
too.
whatever. And like that's what they're doing. And it's like that felt cool.
Yeah.
Fire bending, that's what my deck was based around. Firebending was just, I'm gonna just come at you like the Fire Nation, and I'm just gonna start ripping off spells, ripping off
Mhm.
um, basically what firebending is. As you attack, if someone has firebending too, you get 2 red mana to spend just during combat. It goes away at the end of
Yep.
combat. So you're casting combat spells. You're casting like mine. We'll talk about it. I was cracking clues with it. I was doing that kind of stuff. So like you're doing stuff in combat with it, which felt like the Fire Nation. They
Yeah.
don't care about anything other than just attacking, attacking, attacking. And then and Earthbending, we already talked about Earthbending, just using your
Yep.
resources and building up lands. And like it felt
Well,
so Avatarish. It
let
was
me
crazy.
play into that too,
Yeah,
because that's what earthbending is. Like, you watching the show, earthbenders always, what they're doing is they're like moving the earth to either block or attack, which, like, turning your lands into 2/2s or 3/3s or big creatures to block or attack, just perfect flavor. Just perfect flavor. The bending, I think you're totally right. The bending of the set, 10 out of 10, perfect. Like, making it just makes sense. The flavor. There's a lot of flavor in Lord of the Rings that just made sense. This is the same way. I would even almost say that, like, I would say, as a big Lord of the Rings fan, that the flavor of, like, bending is better than the flavor of, like, the One Ring mechanic.
absolutely, absolutely.
I thought, like, turning it into a legendary creature was good, and then kind of like um looting, like gaining a resource but losing something too, that was good. But by the time you kind of get to like 4 life, I was just kind of like, I feel like continuously having a ring bear actually should hurt you more than anything,
Yeah,
because that's a little bit more on flavor. But bending just feels good. All the bendings just feel correct. The water bending, you're right, you're just kind of like you throw a water bender in like an ocean, you're like, oh, they're about to body someone. Katara, when she's the most dangerous, she's like got more than just her, like, water bottle going on. Toph,
yeah.
adding some artifact mechanics to that. I just thought it was 100% like, wow, these are really great mechanics. They're being played out really well. 100%, and just super immersive lore. I was one of 2 people rocking Avatar: The Last Airbender merch. But my game one just sat down with her phone and just had the soundtrack just playing. It was just perfect. It was just like, all right,
Yeah.
we're just gonna rock with the soundtrack right now. But you're right. It's I totally agree, and the synergies are good too. Synergies make sense. Supposedly, the experts, which I'm not claiming to be, I just like talking about things, but the experts were saying that the Rakdos was like the most like unsure, or like they were thinking that might be the weakest. But you played a Rakdos deck. You built one. I mean, how did you feel? Do you feel like you were missing out when it came to some like value, or did you feel like you were just keeping up?
No, I think my win record was a little bit of luck, a little bit of just good piloting, but
Sure.
I do feel like I was underpowered. Like
Mm.
I think the thing about the Rakdos, and this is what always happens, it happens in MTGA, it happens in paper. At the beginning, people want to do all these cool things. They want to do all these cool cards, and a lot of the cool cards are more mana or more whatever. I think my deck, I had like 8 2 drops, and
Yeah.
I think it was just aggressive enough to stay on that, like to put people on their heels.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had ways, I had a couple like lightning bolt and a couple of stuff like that where I could close out the game. Um, and I think people just didn't know how to play it yet, or they didn't have the right sideboard tech or anything like
Yeah.
that. So like, I think there was a level of luck or just good play mechanics that got me there, not necessarily my deck carrying me, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. 100%. I was a similar, like, I guess I had great rares. I had to really work to get them in. I did have Toph, the first metal bender. Never saw the field. Um, and I did have the Fire Lord, which came out game 2 of my final match, right? Um, which that card is pretty crazy. That you talk about power creep. That's 6 mana for a 7/7 haste trample with potential to
And
be
never lose
indestructible.
any of your mana. Just
Yeah,
never lose
you
any of
just
your
never
mana
lose your
after
mana,
this.
which was crazy. But my early game was pretty simple. It was tutoring lands, or going to find lands, or lightning strike, which I had 3 copies of lightning strike. So I was like, oh, gosh, I really didn't even want to play red. I almost was like, can I make green black and splash red? But I got 3 copies of lightning strike and firebending student. So I was like, I think I have to. Which brings me to my second my one of the points I want to talk a little bit about. This set, kind of a thinker. Kind of a thinker because I sat down and I had a lot of options every time I had a turn. Do I want to use firebending? Do I want to hold my mana until I get into combat so I have more firebending mana plus the mana I have? Do I want to block with this land? Which land do I make a 2/2? Because that mattered because you could sack some of the dual lands. You can sack for a card. Well, if you sack that, it comes right back tapped, right? So there were a lot of thinkers, and I had to really try and even sequence my turns in a pre-release. I thought pretty well, which uh, we went to an evening pre-release. So like 10:30, my thinker's moving kind of slow, and maybe that's why I missed lethal the first time on that game too. But I just thought I was thinking through every turn. There were other like Foundations was not so much. Foundations was like play your cards, play the game. Even Spider-Man I thought was a little less. That was like, here's the 4 mechanics you're gonna have. Play the cards out, play the mechanics. That's how you play this game. This one just felt, and at least in my experience, felt like a little bit more of like I gotta think through my whole turn here before I really kick things off. Did you have that experience too?
I did a little bit because with firebending, you have to attack to be able to bend.
Right.
So there were a couple times where it's like, I have two Azula on the hunt, which is a firebending 2, but then whenever she attacks, you also create a clue. So really, like, the firebends 2, but you get a clue, so you honestly could draw. Like, you could just burn that instantly to draw if you wanted to. There were a couple times with her, I'm like, do I keep her up because I feel like maybe I can get rid of his, maybe I have a removal for a higher one, and but there's other times like, do I tack into her?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they trade, but I at least get to draw a card off this, and there's a couple things like that where I had to decide on those for sure.
Yeah.
One thing too on like the deck building aspect of it too, you talk about there's just so many different options. One thing that I thought was interesting is for those that didn't know, these pre-release sets, and I believe they're going to do it in MTGA as well when you play sealed, is that there's a seeded pack.
Yeah.
So for mine, so you could have either Toph for green, Aang for white. You could have Katara, I think was the blue one, and then I don't remember who the red one was. So
Yeah,
then Azula
Zuko.
was black. Zuko would have been red, and then Azula was black. Um, so I ended up getting an Azula pack. We just got them randomly handed out to us or whatever.
Yeah.
So my seeded pack was all black. So it really, yes, you have options, but it also kind of forced your hand a little bit because
Yeah.
if I didn't go black, I'm basically building my deck with 5 packs now
Yeah.
instead of 6 like you normally do. So like, I like it. I know what they did. I obviously like you get a lot more playables for a certain color,
Yeah.
but like based on your pack, you're kind of picking the color you want to play, which like I don't love that. I do love the complete and utter randomness of your packs and like everybody being at the same level
Yep.
because like I'm sure we will find there's a meta. I'm sure there's a meta color here coming in the next couple weeks.
Yeah.
And like any kind of
And I think it's
mid-season
green.
pre-release, yeah, I would
It's
probably
either
agree. It
green or
probably will
white, I
be.
think.
And I think you're gonna get a lot of that where it's like I don't love people just like wanting to get a color because it's better now.
Yeah.
And being like, because there was a guy at my table that I actually got given a green one, but he really wanted green because he thought he was gonna get a toff from it.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, oh, I don't really want this Azula. Does everybody want it? And I was like, I don't care, whatever.
Yeah.
So I ended up taking it, and obviously it worked out for me. Um, but it's like I don't like that part of pre-releases. I think we
Yeah.
did it. I want to say like Dragonstorm was the last one that did it like that, where
Yeah, but even
feel
that,
like you got it with your clan.
yeah, in the past you've gotten like some like your promo was a nod or like a promo was a supplement of
Hmm.
that, like with New Capenna, you picked like a
Hmm.
family or a side,
Yep.
but you still had there was a lot of multi-color cards in that set, and you still like it wasn't like you got only 3 colors. Strixhaven, another example. Before that, and I didn't play that release, but you picked a school, but those schools are like dual colors. So even like you can potentially cast, you could play a green white deck, and cast your green black hybrid mana card in that deck. This was not quite the same as that. It's like you're right, you get that like force fed color. I wonder if it was like just go ahead and give us 6 packs, make the promo pack like 5 cards. Like 5 cards of one color guaranteed. So you can, because 40 card decks, 5 colors is a ton of cards. It's a ton of cards. Or what did they do in and I don't know if they did this on purpose. Did everyone get that copy of Aang's Journey?
No,
Okay.
I did not.
In what they did the commander one, they gave you that copy of like that colorless commander partner that you could declare what color it was to like help you fix your mana a little bit. Maybe it
Oh,
was
yes. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
yeah, maybe something like that where you're just like you get a couple cards that are just like good tutor cards to go fix land or fix color or hybrid mana cards. Some of the heroes, maybe like Jet was a hybrid mana card. Maybe a little bit more of those. Maybe that would have been like your guaranteed card could be hybrid mana, so you could play them in a couple decks. I don't know, but you're right. It does kind of like force you into that. So, if you
Just one
don't,
thing to keep in mind if you're doing it in the future. Yeah.
yeah, I totally agree. Do you did you have any like MVP cards that you like either maybe they
Mm.
were bombs or just like wow, this overperformed way more than I thought it
Yeah.
was going
I
to.
think I had a couple. So one that I want to bring up is my promo is Zuko Conflicted. Oh, I might have to take my blur off real quick. My my Zuko Conflicted.
Yep.
It happens to be in my promo, and it's actually a weird one that I don't think I actually really liked that much, and I was kind of bummed it was my promo, but it was cool because it was Zuko. Um, it's at the beginning of your main phase. Choose one of these that hasn't been chosen. So there's 4 options, and you also lose 2 life. So it's actually like by the end of the thing, you're gonna lose 8 life, which is kind of a lot. But you draw a card, or you can put a +1/+1 counter on him, or you can gain 1 red mana, or you exile him and return him to the battlefield under your opponent's control.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually like I don't know. I don't think it's a good card. People were terrified of it. This thing hit the field, instant removed. I was like, okay,
Huh.
this is kind of like a weird MVP because you're just burning something on my card that I'm only playing because it was a 2 mana 2/3 and like
Yeah, which
kind of gave
is
me a little bit
fine
of
stat line.
which is
Like a 2 mana 2/3. Let's go.
yeah.
Uh,
But I was just saying
interesting.
outside of that, my rares weren't the greatest. They were okay. I had 2 Obsessive Pursuit, which is like an enchantment that gives you a clue and put some stuff on. But I think like out of my MVPs, I think there was 2. Um, I already kind of talked about it a little bit. It was Azula on the Hunt. I had 2 of her.
Mm-hmm.
So she was pretty good. She's 4/3, firebending 2. When she attacks, lose 1, create a clue. So it helps you card draw. It's also just a 4/3 beater. So like
Mm-hmm.
you either have to trade with it or remove it or whatever. And then honestly, this guy, this war balloon, it's a vehicle. It's
Mm-hmm.
a three mana vehicle, 4/3 flyer, cruise 3. So like crew cost is pretty high. It kind of felt bad if you didn't have a creature out there because obviously it's a vehicle, can't really do anything. But it also has the text of 1 colorless mana, put a fire counter on this vehicle. As long as this has 3 or more fire counters, it becomes a creature. So like having this out there were a couple times where people don't read in pre-releases.
Yeah.
So there are a couple times they would attack in. I'm like, I'm gonna pay 2 mana, add 2 more fire
Oh,
counters to this thing, and it becomes a creature. And now all of a sudden they're like, it had flying. I was like, yep. And they're like, oh, okay.
yeah.
And I eat your 2/2 flyer or something like
Yep.
that, right? Or just like there were a couple games where this came out. Maybe I came out on turn 3, and then on turn 4 I play, let's say Azula, a
Mm-hmm.
4/3. I can't do anything on it, but I can crew this thing, and now I'm hitting you in the air for a 4/3, and like that gets out of hand quick.
Yep.
Or firebending mana is a great thing to do with this war
Just dump
balloon.
it into
I
there.
attack with Azula, get two firebending mana, and I use those 2 firebending mana to put 2 fire counters on this thing, and now I'm 1 turn away from just having this thing be an actual creature at that point. So there are just a couple things like that. And honestly, like MVPs were kind of just my removal. I had a pretty good suite of removal. Deadly Precision, where like it's 1 mana, sack something, destroy creature. I had an exile spell. I had a Heartless Act, which is great.
Yep.
Destroy target creature with no counters on it, or remove up to 3. So it also plays against Earthbending at the
Yep.
same time. So I think those were probably mine if I was to name a couple.
Yeah, I had a lot of good commons and uncommons as well that I just felt like I felt good to play. I had a couple mana dorks. The Egregious Crowd is an interesting dork because it taps for a green. It's a 2/1, so it did die to an ally, but I didn't really swing into an ally. Um, it taps for 1 for a green. My biggest problem is at first I started with 2 of those in my deck, and then I took one out and swapped it for a different 2-drop because I was like, I actually don't have major mono green expensive card payoffs. But if you get to a creature that's 4, then it does tap for 2 green mana. I just didn't have like the perfect formula there to like where that was a huge payoff, but it was nice to just have like extra mana. It helped me that first game where I was trying to crawl back from behind. It actually kept me in the game because I was missing land drops, but I had a dork. I was able to get a dork out there. So next turn I did have 3 mana and played a creature. She turned my creature into a colorless mana. So I was like somehow curving out with mana without playing lands. But one MVP for me, and it's a rare, so like yeah, but the Earth King. Oh my gosh, the amount of value you get for 4 mana on this card is stupid. It reads, when the Earth King enters, so unless it's countered, you're already getting something great. You're getting a 4/4 green bear token. A platypus bear? Nope. Just a regular old bear. Perfect flavor. Well done. And then the second part is actually still relevant, and I wasn't really sure. I just played. I was like, sweet, 2/2 and a 4/4 for 4 mana. I'm taking it. Even my token gets airbended away, whatever. Still relevant. Whenever one or more creatures you control with power 4 or greater attack, search your library for up to that many basic land cards. Put them on the battlefield top, then shuffle. So there was a couple times I was able to swing with 2 4/4s. So I'm just shaving my deck of lands. Now anything I draw is playable. It helped me fix. It just still swinging with a 4/4 and 2 4/4s. That's 8 damage. Still, I think both my creatures stayed alive. Between that, having swinging with 4/4s and having, like I said, 3 copies of Lightning Strike, I think I only burned a creature once. Everything else is just to face because I was like, if I have 3 Lightning Strikes and can deal. So that means if I can onboard deal 11 damage, I could probably win this game just off to face. Second one was my other rare. Is this actually a mythic? It is actually a mythic. Planetarium of Wan Shi Tong. This card was great, but also it's only 6 mana. It's only 6 mana for that fact. So, like, on turn 6, if this is in hand, and these games, unless you were up against like a straight aggro deck, my games didn't go super fast. Tap 1, scry 2. Basically, it says whenever you scry or surveil, hold up, stop. Pick one of those 2 cards and play it for free, or roll the dice, put them both on the bottom, and flip the third one. Which I did do that one time, and it felt awful because I flipped a land. So,
Speaking of Lord of the Rings, remember that elf deck that was all about scrying? Can you imagine this in that deck? Where just like
yeah.
every creature that comes down, you're playing something for free off
You
the
can
top.
only
It's
trigger
like
it once per turn, but I'm sure there are ways to blink this thing that just make it stupid. But those were great. More than anything, I never played. Only one time did I play Firelord Ozai for free. Everything else was just curating value. One time I think I picked a turtle duck because I was like, actually, though, this is fine to play for free. I want to play this for free because then I can play this for free and still have 3 open mana to pump it. And then like doing the math, doing the calculations, I was like, yeah, I'm going to play a turtle duck for free, no problem. And just helped me curate the late game because at that point it's 6 mana still. But I had a lot of dorks. I had a lot of ways to get mana and go get lands. Felt good, felt fine to play. Definitely the MVP. I would say because that's a mythic, you're not going to see that very often. But the Earth King, that is a great card. That was a great card, especially in green. So, because there's a lot of creatures who swing for 4 in green. and I don't think it's that going to be that hard to do, even if the token is gone. I think it's good. So I think overall, all around, I had a blast. I think this did magic-y things, like you said, putting tokens on counters, blinking things. Earth or airbending is like a new mechanic, but really just blinking. Blinking's not new to Magic. Invoke's not new to Magic. Waterbending's a little different, I think. And then firebending maybe is a little bit more of an original mechanic. There's not a lot of. I can't think of anything that already exists before that does something that similar. But I thought it was tons of flavor on the cards, on the mechanics, even just down to like some art of the cards was just super flavorful. And I did end up trading Firelord Ozai before the end of the night. Just traded it because all I really wanted was Uncle Iroh of the or Uncle Iroh of the Four Lotus or something like that. So with that being said, I got the card I wanted, my version of a chase card, I guess you could say, and then I had a great time. I would highly recommend. 10 out of 10.
I'm looking really forward to it releasing an MTGA. I feel like I'm gonna play a crap ton of this.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna do a ton of draft on this set, and I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. I think this reminds me of Bloom Barrel, where like I think I might be able to solve the format essentially. But another thing too I want to shout out, and I'm literally just saying this so I can clip it for later, I'm sure. But this is just I'm gonna beat this drum forever, especially you Magic the Gathering arena players. Go to a pre-release live event. It's just they're fun, they're new, and maybe for like a very long time you just get whomped as you're trying to figure out how to do this. That's totally fine. Want to shout out All Star Sports in Grand Rapids. We showed up, and I love this store a lot. I don't want to know. I'm not saying this will happen every time there's a pre-release event, but let's just say we got extra prizes just for showing up and basically agreeing to be polite through the entire night. It's Grand Rapids Comic-Con weekend on the same weekend as us, as pre-release for us. So most of the owner's staff was busy all day at Comic-Con. So he basically said, "Hey, I'm short-staffed, short-handed." And I haven't played Magic in like 10 years. So we're just going to go for it, and we're going to be nice to each other. And because of that, I'm giving you guys something extra. And when everyone walked away with extra stuff or an option of extra stuff. I think one girl just guessed his favorite movie and won a Magic the Gathering blanket and $100 cash. Now, I don't think he's going to do that every time, but All-Star Sports in Grand Rapids, my favorite store. And I think I've gone to an event at every store, except for there might be one new one that I haven't gone to, but I think it is my favorite. Sorry, everyone else. It's a good one. It's a good one. Overall, what's your final thoughts on not just like the event, but like the set in general, or both, Adam?
Yeah, I think the set's a banger. I think you talked at the beginning about like Universes Beyond, and I know there's a lot of people out there like, oh, this is ruining Magic. I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
I think there are some sets that feel good, some sets feel not great. I think like for me personally, I really hated Thunder Junction. I thought it was
Yeah.
stupid. They're cowboys in Magic, and like it felt like they were just like spinning that just to spin it, and it kind of just felt bad. But like I'm all here for this one.
Yeah.
I'm all here for the Lord of the Rings one. Like I'm here for them leaning into it. The Spider-Man, I was probably a little bit. I'm a big Marvel nerd, so like I also loved it just because of that. But like that one did not feel nearly as good as these other ones.
Yeah.
I think they did really well for this one. I think the mechanics felt good, all that kind of good stuff. So I'm ready for it.
Yeah. I would agree. I think Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is next. I'm super pumped for that. I freaking love the Turtles. They're like listening to all my favorite things, and they're lining them up. Magic the Gathering is currently for like 30 to 40-year-old men. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I would agree.
They run the data. I know what they're doing, and they're winning, and they're taking my money. Now, it's not to say girls don't love these things too, but just like, and actually like I played two. This is the first time for me, and I welcome it. 2 out of 3 of my opponents were girls. Um, and my loss was a girl, and she had a great blue white allies deck, and she piloted it very well, and it was fun to
Wait, was
play.
your last person? Your last person was
No,
Allie?
my second person was
Oh, oh.
a lady, and I was like, I don't think I'd seen her at that shop before, but I guess she is there often. But and my third one was a homie. In my third match, to exactly what you said. Everyone is not like still new mechanics. People are still trying to get familiar. He tried to firebend. He tried to use firebending mana second main phase, and I had to be that guy to be like, actually that mana goes away, and um, that's just kind of
Way
how
to
it
be a
turned.
ruled nerd, Nate. Jeez.
Honestly, I had to. So that's the way it went. I'm not too worried about it. He wasn't ahead anyway. We were headed into my direction of a win. So, yeah, good thoughts. I'm too tired to play a best of 3, and like I said, I traded some of my cards away, and Adam already broke down his deck, so there's no best of 3 coming. But stick around. Towards the end of this year, we're gonna have a lot more Magic, and especially into next year, we're gonna be playing a lot more Magic, paper Magic, online. And been floating out to the internet about. I haven't thought of a cool, trendy name for it yet, but we've been chatting, getting some great comments on the what I would call an annual sealed format, which is essentially the goal would be probably can't happen right away, but the goal would be to get to a commander deck using only the cards in your pre-release kit sealed pools combined. Next year's a prime year for it because we got 5 sets coming. Even if you hate all the Universe Beyond, why not take advantage of it? I was just looking back. I didn't play Final Fantasy, but I was looking at like the synergies I would end up having with +1/+1 counters with green white between Spider-Man and all the earthbending I would be doing, and I was like, oh man, if I put some synergies together towards the end of this year, it would have been fun to add like a Final Fantasy pre-release kit. So I dropped a video not
Can,
too
can
long.
you can you imagine? Can you imagine a chocobo bringing out a land that you then earthbend on,
Yeah,
then you then attack in with, and then web a spider down with? Like that would be your commander deck, and that would be insane.
it is. It is. I think there's some play to it. Obviously, some of the comments were like, "Yeah, that's not going to work because people lie and cheat." Well, people lie and cheat anyway, so at least this way they could only lie and cheat with the cards in that set. If
We
they
only play
play,
with good people,
yeah,
with good-hearted people.
it'd be a high honor system. But um, all in all, good set. I'll probably start that. I'm not missing. I already told my beloved, my beautiful bride, I'm going to the Turtles one. Like I wasn't really sure. I was like the Avatar one and the Turtles one. That's back to back. That's stuff that I'm gonna like want to go. Um, I'm excited for it, and it's gonna be a good 2026 for Magic Gathering. It's gonna be a good 2026 for this channel. I always appreciate Adam. Thanks for coming on, offering your advice and your insight. You're a very good Magic Gathering player, so it's always good to hear validation when you say cards are good. I'm like, yes, that's what I thought too. So cool. Awesome. Thank you very much for sticking around. Thanks for the new follows and the new likes and stuff over there on the old YouTube. Appreciate everyone. Until we see you right here at the table next time, good